Yeah. So we just went through some dumb stuff. All of us. For those of you who don't know, you're watching this on YouTube on the Strive Network. This is a lot of my friends from KTSW. And we were just staying up late for like basically almost 7 hours on this DeSoto ISD board meeting live stream for a school board to figure out if one of the coaches from San Marcos High School, who we built a really great relationship with, is staying here. And then it didn't even happen. So just what are y'all's like first reactions after that and like this whole thing?
I'm speechless. If I'm gonna go, I don't even know where to start. I don't know like what to say. We waited for 7 hours. I'm upset right now. Like this hurts. Like 7 hours to find out who the coach was gonna be. We're sitting here breaking down the scenarios, what could be going on in the meeting. They pop back up and then they go back into the meeting. And 7 hours later, then when the lady said this meeting is adjourned, everybody's face just like dropped. So I have nothing to say. I really am speechless. I don't know what to say.
I think the worst part about this whole entire thing is that I wasn't invested as you guys were until it happened later. Because I kind of knew, I just went, okay, it's not happening the first 20 minutes, so I'm just not going to listen. But the fact I was on a FaceTime call for the same amount of time as the Zoom call was going on for DeSoto High School just tells you everything. So I pretty much was with it the whole time. It was just kind of a bit much. I don't know what was taking so long. They could have gone through it easily, but I don't know. It was a lot longer than it should have been. I feel bad for everyone involved here in this whole group.
I didn't think it was going to be as long. I was on it for all 7 hours, and honestly, I was just shocked whenever they were in the executive one. They were just talking, and I don't know. Obviously, we don't know what they were talking about because they obviously weren't talking about who the new basketball coach is going to be. So I don't even think they ended up talking about it, to be honest, because it's so late.
Yeah, I agree. I just think the first thing that came into my mind was sending a gift to Jude of Stephen A. saying, "We've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok." Like, that is the literal perfect gift for that moment. And I don't know about y'all, but on my end, it's raining here in San Antonio, but my internet went out as soon as it came back from that executive session. And that lasted probably, maybe 2 of the 6 hours of the meeting, right? That, at least it felt like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm just as disappointed as all y'all. The fact that there was no decision, it was heartbreaking, man.
Yeah, because we were looking out for this for like we said, like 7 hours. And I think because I went immediately to the guy's Twitter that like had been following this all night. I don't remember his name, but he's like the main like high school sports reporter for the Dallas Morning News. And he like said, breaking, there will be no announcement for San Marcos High School head coach, or not San Marcos High School, but DeSoto High School boys basketball. See, I'm getting this confused because it's so late. It is 1:31 as we're recording this, and this meeting started at 6:30. So we've been up for we had the tweet ready and everything on KTSW Sports, and it didn't work out. So I've just been wild, and I mean, y'all have been wild. I mean, really, we all did get hoodwinked, bamboozled, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, just for some context, though, y'all want to talk about like Coach Pinchback and what he's meant to like San Marcos and everything?
Oh, he's awesome. He was my very first interview as a reporter. I was so nervous. Deshaun, I was freaking out right before I went up, and he was just so awesome and just so chill about it. And he was like, "Don't worry, like, we got this." And like, he was just so good. And he just like led the interview basically because he's that good. And he just like kept the team as a family. He's just so awesome. I just love him so much. I really hope he doesn't leave. But it's for the better. He can go do better things, but we will miss him if he does end up leaving.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Coach Pinchback, he brought a swagger. He brought a different attitude towards San Marcos High School, and it was really such a great brand. You could see the emotion when he was on the court, bringing the fans in and just getting the parents egged on to support this team, and that's what I think is the most interesting. He just had a certain personality to him that you could see rubbed off onto the team. And the fact that he possibly could be moving on just really, really could be really bad for San Marcos High School. But it's also good for him. Yeah, I think he's a good human being. He's a good person, and you got to take opportunities when they're present. And sometimes the things that you want to do may hurt some people in the process, but if it's best for you, then you do it. Best for your family. It's other people are involved, but I mean, I just wish him best for everything he does. I appreciate everything that he's done for me. I mean, interviewing him has been fantastic. He had so many good one-liners that Josh would get and Jude would get and Deshaun would get because they all worked with him and I worked with him. It was just a really great experience, and I wish him best and hopefully talk to him soon.
Well, for me,
We got that. We got the awkward silence.
Some
Everybody,
tears.
Connor just gave an emotional
yeah,
monologue,
Yeah.
and none of
Holding
us
back
can
the
follow
tears.
it up.
nah, for me,
Soliloquy, like Ray Smith would say.
just the first, well, writing for the Daily Record, I got to talk to him like pretty much as soon as the season was about to get kicked off, as soon as football was done, and just hear what he was trying to do in San Marcos was just, you know, amazing to hear. Like every time you spoke to him, it was positivity, even when the team was struggling. And we talked about it. A lot of people are not going to know the context behind the record of the team this year that he coached, 3-11 in district play, but it's not going to tell you that he was playing with a team full of freshmen, a team he had just got for the first year, putting them together, making them mesh and play as a team. And like Amanda said, like a family, not just a team on and off the floor. You see them doing things outside of the court. They're doing things for the community, all sorts of stuff like that. So you just see them build that camaraderie together in one season. So to maybe not be able to see what he can do in 4 or 5 seasons, or even not be able to see what they're doing next year when they transition to a new district, is going to be tough to see for us as a reporter. But for him, whatever the best opportunity that he has, of course, we want him to take it because of the relationship that we've built with him in such a short time. And that just speaks to his character. So for me, that's the main thing that I'll remember from him, is just how he treated us, how he treated everybody in the San Marcos community. So.
Yeah, he was always so genuine too, just from the moment that you met him. And when you talk to him, and as a reporter, you want to play for him because he's so positive and he's always upbeat and energetic. He always brings it every night for the fans and for the community of San Marcos. But, I mean, he meant so much and made a lot of impact for just one season if he does decide to move on. But I think the partnership with KTSW and San Marcos High School really reached a new level. We saw that with San Marcos football, but as well as basketball this past semester. And the access that he's given KTSW is unmatched. Like, it's always, let me help you as far as Texas State and other sports. But whenever you go to Coach Pinchback, he's like, what can I do for you? Because you're family here and we want to help you out. So I always appreciated that from him. But, you know, if he does decide to leave, it's DeSoto. I would totally understand. It's one of the top schools in the state of Texas for sports. And it'd be really coming full circle being an assistant for that championship team in 2016 and to be the head coach of that. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I don't blame him whatsoever. But like y'all said, just echoing what you guys said already, but wishing him nothing but the best.
I mean, same here, obviously. Man, I couldn't even – I remember the first time me and Josh went and, like, met him. We had talked to him a little bit, like, over text. But when we first met him and sat down with him, I remember going up to our director at the time and being like, I want to cover this. This is all I'll do, but I'll make sure it's, like, the best thing, because it was just – you knew right from there that, like, it was the start of something special. And to be fair, like, with him going back to the DeSoto, that is where he came from, and won those 2 state championships in 2009 and 2016. And the coach who had been there, coached there for, I don't know if he had been coaching there for 38 years or if he had a 38-year coaching career. I think that's what it was. But he unexpectedly retired. And so, of course, Coach Pinchback, going back to his roots, seeing that job open, I can totally see why he'd throw his name back in the hat. So, and to see that he got this far is pretty crazy. We obviously don't know for sure if he's going to leave yet, but I mean, there's been a lot of former players that have been tweeting and saying, hey, he's the guy. So in our opinion, just from an outsider's perspective, obviously we don't know everything. It seems like he's going to go. Once again, we appreciate everything that he did. I mean, just one of the funnest guys to be around, even if, we weren't just talking basketball. Obviously we were reporters, but it was more like a friendship rather than, just like a media relationship. But with that being said, with the possibility of him leaving and the recent news of Mark Soto, their head football coach, who also had a similar culture of family, which we even got T-shirts from Coach Pinchback. All of us in this call got free Nike T-shirts that said family, and it had
Connor's face,
and it had the Sam Marcus logo on it. But oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, we didn't get these.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
I cannot confirm or deny.
But
it may or may not be hanging in my closet.
But if both of these guys leave, like, so if it does, like, next week, say they do the meeting again and we're up until all hours into the night again, and this time they do announce it and they say, okay, DeSoto High School has named their boys basketball head coach Stephen Pinchback, like, where do you think that leaves San Marcos High School and all of this? Because not only, I mean, there's a lot of talented players there, especially on the basketball team. Of course, there's very talented players on the football team too, but there's a lot of talent on that basketball team, especially if it's young talent. They'll only be sophomores, still got 3 years of their career left. What do you guys think that just overall as an athletic program, losing two great guys like Mark Soto and Stephen Pinchback really leaves things?
I was going to go with Deshaun because I think Deshaun, he's covered this so extensively. I think he kind of has a really good insight on what players and where they're going. So I'll kind of give it up to Deshaun because I think he knows a lot about this.
It's not just me. I know y'all know, like, I know Josh and Jude and man, y'all we've all been to the games. But talking to Caden's mom, Miss Shakima, she informed me, Caden was trying out for the Virgin Island teams, the overseas team this year during the summer, doing all that. And then Malik Presley, obviously another big time freshman. They were both ranked in the top 15 of the tri region freshmen in the area. So they're big time players. And the thing is, good coaches bring out the best in those players. Of course, you're going to have talented players, but you're going to have coaches that are going to bring out the best position, put them in the best position to succeed. Sorry. And so I feel like Pinchback with the basketball team, and even Coach Soto, even though the record again didn't show last year, we've seen Coach Soto have winning teams. We've seen him put together great comebacks. I remember just reading the story about the football comeback that they had in the playoffs. Like, great stories. Like, coaches get the best out of that, and you don't play for a coach that you don't believe in. So with these coaches, just losing them and the players that are coming back, not only are they talented players, but it is going to be interesting to see who they hire or who they talk to be these guys' coaches, because you want to get the best out of them, especially as sophomores. To even get 3 freshmen or 4 freshmen that started for you out of 5 players to come into a district with Judson, Steele, Clemens, all that, and even be able to compete with some of these teams and get 3 wins in district play. I'm talking about the basketball team. It is miraculous. And for Coach Pinchback, losing him would be a major loss, not only for player development, but player relations with the coach. And so we'll have to see how that goes later down on the line.
I think that goes for both Coach Soto and Coach Pinchback. It's just they make you believe. Even though San Marcos in both football and basketball had one of the worst district records, you believe that they had a chance to win every single night that they were on the field or on the court. And that's just a testament of how good of a leader both Soto and Pinchback were. But the fact that you're already losing Soto is bad. But if you lose Pinchback as well, it's really taking 5 steps back, I believe, in the program. Whether Napoli steps up to be the next head coach or, who knows. But the fact that both of them would possibly be leaving in a span about a month would be really detrimental to the program. But honestly, with the talent that they have and now the realignment coming up next year, I don't really know where San Marcos will be come a year from now, especially if Pinchback ends up leaving. It's just going to be one huge mystery.
Yeah, I think when it comes to just to talk about Coach Pinchback and Coach Soto, I mean, those are two very big pieces to the San Marcos High School athletic program. And you wonder from a standpoint because Coach Soto's been there for a very long time. And the fact that
9 years.
9 years, exactly, Jude. And he's been there for a very long time, and he's meant so much to that community. And the fact he's leaving, that took a big piece. And Coach Pinchback leaves, that'll be kind of another big piece. I mean, he just arrived here for his first year, but he was trying to implement a culture, and that takes a lot of time. It takes a few years to get people to buy into the system, get the students to buy into the system that he's trying to bring. And I think it's just another adjustment. It's kind of another hurdle. I mean, when it comes to anything in general, when it comes to sports, life, it's another hurdle you got to get over. And with San Marcos High School, they'll figure out a way. I mean, they should be confident with the program that they have currently and with the student athletes that they have, and to bring in a coach who will try to push them over the hump. It's possible, just going to take some more time, and that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I didn't mean to get up earlier. I was trying to turn off my fan because it's got some background noise. And then I was like, wait, I can't reach to like the part where it like turns the fan off. And then if I turn the light off, then my lighting wouldn't be good. So it's not that big of a deal. So I just left it there.
I feel bad because Josh was making a really good point.
I know, I felt
while
bad.
you were doing it, and me and Amanda were like, don't laugh.
We're
Don't
like,
laugh.
oh God.
To be honest, I didn't even notice.
Josh was so in the moment. I know, and I didn't get to
Yeah.
hear. I had to take off the headphones. But
It
yeah,
was an emotional piece. You missed it.
definitely. Just
Yeah.
gosh,
You missed it.
monologues all around.
Get Bayless some takes.
Big facts.
Made me shed a tear.
But another thing that I wanted to bring up that Deshaun had been talking about, and that you've just been in the AAU circuit and playing college basketball, there's sometimes a lot of times in high school where players will transfer to a certain school to play for that program. Like, for example, Judson in San Antonio. Just could you talk about how, I mean, obviously we don't want to speculate too much, but how that is a big factor in high school basketball that some people may not know about, and how with players like Caden, like Malik, like even John Vega, we haven't mentioned him yet, that are just really all-star players, have athleticism, and have really are very talented for being just freshmen, how that could be maybe an enticing opportunity without Pinchback being there.
Definitely being around AAU in high school, of players who don't live in the area or use someone's address or zip code or whatever, so they can go to a certain school and play with them, so their schools can be powerhouses, stuff like that. They recruit players in, and I'm not going to accuse any schools of doing that because I don't think it's totally legal, but there's really there's nothing really you can do to stop them, because you can't say they don't live there unless they go out and check, and I highly doubt they're doing that. But players transferring is a huge thing in high school basketball, because if the team, let's say you're a good player like Caden and Malik, how they were ranked in that certain thing, if they feel they can go to a better school and team up with some better players, which could give them more of a spotlight for scouts to come see, obviously then they might consider that. There are factors that go into it, like Denisha Presley obviously is Malik's mom, and he also has a sister who plays on the varsity team who's going to be a senior. So for me, I'm not thinking they're going to move at all. And Caden is also a teammate of Malik's in the summer. They played AAU together for Pro Skills, I think 15U or 14U last year. So they have a good relationship. So I'm not sure if you'll see them transfer out. What I was thinking was going to happen was Pinchback, with his knowledge and the way he can talk to people and things of that sort, he was going to get somebody to come in and help those freshmen, also maybe a big or something. But with the transfer and with him leaving, maybe, speculation, it's going to be a lot tougher. And we're going to start seeing, some parents maybe say, oh, the school is unstable. They've had multiple coaches in the last, couple years, so we should move certain players somewhere. And that's just how things go when it comes to teaming up with people to get your name in the spotlight so you can play in college and stuff like that. So recruiting is a big thing in high school. It definitely is, but I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. Just know it happens.
Off the record.
Yeah, off the record.
obviously nobody knows for certain. And this is just kind of us talking about things that could happen with this, because it really is just an interesting piece here with Soto and Pinchback leaving. But another thing that I even just remembered, like these guys like Malik, Caden, and John, they've all been playing together in middle school, at Goodnight Middle School specifically. So this is something that a lot of those players, I remember Takai Magid, a senior on the football team, told me, they grow up, a lot of these kids grow up wanting to be Rattlers. So just because, they're even though definitely they had a great relationship with Coach Pinchback, they may not want to leave because they have played together for so long, specifically in San Marcos, and that might be something that will be in their goals in the future. But it's definitely an interesting situation. I mean, we talked about how they're going to go to a new district next year, but if everything turns out the way it seems it's going to go, this would be like a completely new slate for the main sports at San Marcos High School in their athletic program. Is not only would they be going into a new district, but they'd be going in with 2 brand new coaches. And with all of the COVID-19 stuff going on right now, I'm sure that makes it even harder to find new head coaches for like major athletic programs in Texas, especially football, when you need a new head football coach. And then if you got to go with number 2, it's a head basketball coach. So with all of that going on, with it being a clean slate and with all of the COVID-19 stuff going on, just what do you guys think that the implications of that are?
Well, possibly, I think it's a perfect opportunity for a clean slate. For the past few years, San Marcos hasn't really been successful, and that's not a knock on the people that were behind it. Obviously, Coach Soto and Coach Pinchback, you have those two together. I mean, you're bound for success. But I think it's a great opportunity for San Marcos to kind of write the next chapter in their book in the program. And if Coach Pinchback does leave, I think that what he instilled in those guys, and even with Coach Soto and the football team and the entire San Marcos community, is family, emphasizing family. I think even though they aren't there, I think the culture that they've been setting for a few years and 1 year for Coach Pinchback, I think that'll really reflect what San Marcos will be about in the next few years.
Yeah, I mean,
speechless, man.
And that's what I was about to say. Josh just
it's weird because it
doesn't
feels
dead.
like we're doing like an episode of Bobcat Radio whenever we make a take or something like that, and there's like kind of like a pause, and like, yeah, so back, but
Yeah.
it just kind of feels it. But no, I just think it's a tough situation right now with COVID-19. I mean, jobs are kind of scarce, and then also they're very competitive too. So that can give some opportunities to who wants to head coach job position, because really San Marcos High School, it's kind of a gold mine in an aspect where they're what was so funny?
No, Deshaun.
What?
Anyways, don't worry about it. Only YouTube viewers will
What are
see.
you doing, Deshaun? No, no, but like just San Marcos, there's a good opportunity for someone who wants to try to establish a culture or establish their own idea of where the department should go, has an opportunity to do that. It's kind of like you mentioned, Josh, it's a clean slate. So for anyone who comes in there, they can kind of take it a direction they want to go. And it's just kind of open for anyone to take at this moment. I mean, nothing's written in stone yet. I mean, who knows? Maybe Coach Pinchback doesn't get the job. Maybe he becomes the athletic director of San Marcos High School. So you never know. I know that was something that was talked about. I think Jude mentioned it before.
I mean, it was just pure speculation. I
Pure
mean, I think it'd be a good idea with what we've
a good idea, but
met with him.
Yeah, like you said, you just don't know. So it's all pure speculation. But I think for anyone who wants to take that position, it's a good opportunity. I think there's plenty of room for San Marcos. They have some great facilities.
Yeah, I was going to get to that and have that like a whole question like in a sec. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think let's just get into it now since you mentioned it. Like, so one of the things that Coach Soto did, which is why I think it's even, more of a tougher loss with him leaving to go to Johnson High School in San Antonio. He is a SA native, so that makes sense, which is also Deshaun's alma mater. It took me a while to think of that. It's almost 2:00 in the morning. But the facilities at San Marcos High School, they have an indoor football field, air conditioned. I remember one day during practice, it was so cold. It was like 40 degrees outside. So they're like, all right, cool. Let's just have practice in the indoor facility. Not many high schools have that. And then they have a huge Rattler Stadium, which literally has a sponsorship called Toyota Rattler Stadium. and the press box is comparable to Texas State's. Honestly, I like it better. And that's just my personal opinion. And I've been to both. Like me personally, I like that one better. Yeah, that's no hate to Texas State. But yeah, but like these facilities are insane. Just what are some of the thoughts that you guys have on the facilities and how attractive that would be to not just a head football coach, but I mean, we saw Pinchback and the basketball guys training in that indoor facility and the other indoor gym they have in there as well, in the student activity center. Just how attractive is that to head football and basketball coaches?
I think that's so attractive to like any head coach, just because like I know personally at my high school we had no like indoor facilities like that. So like if it was freezing outside, you're going outside, like too bad, like you're just gonna freeze, like, and you're not gonna wear a jacket because you're out, like it's just not what happens. And then like we live in Texas, it's too hot sometimes, you know, you have to work out in the heat. That definitely could be a game changer, just like with practices and stuff, because I know it could either be too hot or too cold. So I definitely think that would be like very like enticing, because I know the coaches probably freeze too. So like sometimes then they can like, you know, they don't have to freeze while they're at practice because they're just standing there. They're not like,
they're not moving
working
their bodies
out, like, so they're obviously probably freezing or sweating their butts off during practice. So honestly, if I were a head coach, I would want to go do that because that sounds pretty nice to me.
All I could think about, Amanda, is what you were saying, hot and cold. I was thinking of that Katy Perry song.
Oh my
Hot and you're cold. You're
You would.
No Katy
Of course.
no Katy Perry
not
references
surprised.
on the JTM.
None. Katy Perry.
Why
None
not?
accepted.
No, all I could think of was that song. It just replayed. It just reminded me of the 2000s.
Solid song.
No, but back to the facilities. Well, didn't think I'd go that. It's almost 2 a.m. Well, you know,
Don't blame me.
Like 4 minutes.
Okay, let's tone down the sarcasm a little bit. But no, we're going back to the facilities, and I think it's really attractive. Like you mentioned, Jude, they literally have a Toyota sponsorship for a football field, and they have an indoor stadium for practice. Like that's absolutely crazy. Like if everything's set up basically for success, you just need someone to come in there and implement it. And it's good. That's the most difficult part about everything. You can have the greatest tools to use, but if you don't know how to use it properly, what's the point? It's kind of where you're at with San Marcos. You got everything going for you. You just need someone to establish a culture. Coach So did a really good job of that. The amount of times he would post something for wrestling, I watched him. He go to all the way to a tournament, send videos, and was really supportive. And I think if you can get someone to do that and try to make it even better, that's what you want for San Marcos.
Have you heard the expression like somebody needs to walk in order for some other person to run or something like that? Something along those lines.
Oh my God. All I can think of is a TikTok.
Oh no, not the
No.
We got Katy Perry and we got TikTok.
Walk.
That's also Kesha's song, TikTok. Yeah.
Well, follow us at KTSW Sports on TikTok. Coming soon.
Wait.
No.
Please. I want to so bad.
Link will be on the Instagram story. At KTSW Sports.
Pass on this.
But yeah, that's what I feel like. Coach Soda really established something for whoever's next in line to kind of run with, and having those facilities definitely helps. I remember the first time going to the Rattler Stadium, Jude was hyping this up.
Oh, dude,
it was like Cowboy Stadium.
That's right.
Like Cowboy
I forgot we called that.
Not Jerry World.
Yeah, or
nope,
Death
Jerry
Valley
World.
to Jude.
Nope.
Either
Lincoln
one.
Financial Field.
Yeah, but Jude was hyping this up, and I was like, okay, bro, like, let me see how good it is. And I go for the first game. I was doing color commentary with Jude, and I was blown away. It didn't seem like I was in a high school football game. And coming from San Antonio, high school football is huge in San Antonio, and it is all across Texas. But going into that stadium, I was really impressed. Just the facilities as a whole, Jude. As you mentioned, they're incredible, and it's going to be a really good aspect for somebody to come in and use those as an advantage.
I know for me personally, I didn't play football, but I know for NEISD, they all had one set football stadium. They just played at Blossom, or they just played at just one set stadium. So to have your own stadium, which some of these schools have, is really, really cool to have. Like, for a coach, that's beautiful. You get to practice on your field. You get to see it, feel that turf, just get some type of experience with it. And then funny story about the indoor field, covering the soccer team, I was out there in like 30-degree weather. They're playing a game. And after I went to go interview the coach, and I had like 2 hoodies on, I had to like fold it. He couldn't see my face. And he goes, "You think this is cold?" He was like, "Wait till we hit February." And I'm like, dang, he's really telling the truth. But at all those times, they practiced inside that indoor facility with the heat. So I'm like, I mean, I guess so, so just those facilities, practicing indoors and being able to practice on the field you're going to play on, whether it's, soccer, baseball, even those facilities, the softball team, all those fields and stuff, playing at home, that's a huge advantage for teams. And that's something that coaches that are trying to get hired for the job, might look at and be like, I really like that. And that might be a bringing in point or persuasive point for these coaches. By the way, I might apply.
We need that Deshaun Hartley head coach.
You got a good shot.
Yes.
Hey, if nobody does, I might do it. Forget it.
Hey,
I don't got no
yes.
degree, but I know basketball.
Might as well. You played in college.
Yeah, I played in
Oh,
college,
gosh.
and he coached me on a basketball court too. That was
Hey.
not fun. I didn't expect that at all. Oh man.
But for real, I mean, when I remember, like, literally, just to give a little bit more perspective on what Josh was talking about, I mean, we had our own booth, and there's like multiple other booths. Like, if there was one booth, like our normal booth was taken, there's going to be another one available. And they literally had TVs set up in the top right corner of the game, like while it was going on. So a lot of times, like, we sat in like the far left corner. So say the Rattlers are driving down the field, but they're on the right side of the field on the end zone farther away from us, right? We could just look up at the TV and call the game perfectly like we're watching an NFL game, because they had people doing camera work the whole time and they had the TV up there. I mean, so it's not just even just the facilities, just the audio and the people that they had there for video work as well was professional level stuff. I don't understand why they don't stream it. That's something that maybe we could even talk to Miss Presley about, because if they stream that, that would be crazy. They can just get us on play-by-play.
That's a good idea.
But
Shameless plug.
that's a shameless plug for real. But yeah, it was just incredible being there. But yeah, I mean, I guess I don't want to keep y'all up too late. I mean, it's already 2 a.m. at the dot. So just any
We're
final
waiting for 6 hours.
I don't
That's
sleep.
good.
We're good.
We're all looking good.
I
We're
was up
looking
till
good
5
at
last
2
night.
a.m.
Yeah. So any other like thoughts on just all of the stuff like that transpired today and going forward with San Marcos High School? Another thing that I didn't even think about. I mean, you do have Texas State and San Marcos. San Marcos is a very big area. You know what I'm saying? And I know that Coach Soto had a relationship with Jake Spavital, the head coach of Texas State football, who is known like across the country as a very like one of the best young offensive minds who's been getting NFL offers the 2 years he's been at Texas State. What do you think maybe he could have an influence on the football coach? I'm not sure if he would. I know he did talk to Soto, and Soto got to have access at the first spring game they had. Him and his son came on the field. I was there for that. But just what are y'all's thoughts on San Marcos, the area as a whole, and maybe Spavital having an influence there as well?
Awkward silence.
I was about to say, this is the most talkative podcast.
Right? As far as Spavital, I'm not sure exactly, to be honest, how much impact
I don't think he would either.
But simply because I think Soto and Spavital like had that connection already. But I think just being in San Marcos, we've said it multiple times for Texas State sports, but we haven't really talked about it for San Marcos High School. Being in San Marcos is the pinpoint of being 50-50 away from San Antonio and Austin. And there's so much talent in Texas, specifically in San Antonio and Austin. So being there is a prime spot for a coach to bring in some young talent and, you know, in the boundaries of where they live. Obviously, Deshaun knows nobody transfers for high school basketball. But
that does not
but
help.
no, I think it's just a great area to be in. And it honestly, it doesn't hurt having Coach Casper and Coach Spavital there, literally a few miles away.
That's a great point. As a player, if I was like really thinking about in between San Marcos and Austin, if I thought I could go to San Marcos and put up big numbers, that's a great like thing to look at for athletes that are coming into the school, or even middle schoolers. When you really think about it, I mean, not really think about college until you hit like 11th grade, 10th, 11th grade, but not many high schools have a college that's literally maybe within, like, I'm not going to say within walking distance, but 2-3 exits down, you have your college campus right there. So that football team and being able to build that relationship with anything, you never know who you could run into because the town is so small, but like at the same time, it seems so big. You never know who you could run into. So just if you're a star athlete like Malik Presley or like Caden Gums, there's no doubt, Danny Casper, the head coach at Texas State, isn't going to come to San Marcos and look at them just because they're right there when they get older. So just to have a high school and a college in the same area and be a player, they should try to take advantage of that, because not a lot of high schools and colleges are combined or right next to each other, or even have that family atmosphere where the head coach in the town can talk to the head coach of the college. So just take advantage of that if they're an athlete.
And on top of that, Texas State is, while it's not a Power 5, I mean, it's a D1, for football, FBS, and for basketball, it's still a D1 conference. I mean, you can play Division I athletics, and it's literally on the other side of the highway.
And if you're from San Marcos and you just go to Texas State, that's a great story too, because it's literally right down the street. You're like a hometown name. So.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't love a story about a hometown kid?
Oh my gosh.
If you reference
What? It's true. Everyone knows those stories.
Hey, it's true.
true. No, it is true.
Guys hating on me for no reason.
Nah, I'm just hating on the Eagles.
Are you even from
Eagles.
Philadelphia?
Are you
I am.
Canadian?
Okay, well, I wasn't talking to you, man. I'm talking to the man with the Eagles hat and the Eagles thing in the background.
I have an excuse that I'm from Philly, so.
Actually, you're
Good
from
honor.
Downington.
My dad's an Eagles fan, so naturally.
Downington, it's Downingtown.
Downingtown. My
Down-
bad, jeez.
Ooh, it's gonna be some trouble after this call.
I'm weak.
No, but I think San Marcos as a whole, I really enjoy being a student. It's really gave me another first year I was A&M, then I transferred here. It gave me new life in a way. It's a really great town. A lot of things you can do. I just think for anyone that's a student athlete or wants to go to college, it's a good opportunity at Texas State. There's literally a lot of people say it's diamond in the rough, and it really is. You get to see what the community's like. A lot of people are fantastic, very friendly. I mean, it sounds like I'm sponsoring Texas State. Why?
We really are their PR firm.
Honestly.
JTM.
The JTM, sponsored by San Marcos, Texas.
There you go.
There you go. That was better.
Do y'all remember during the producing for men's basketball, they had the New Braunfels sponsor, and it was just like, I forget what the catchphrase was. It was something dumb though. It was just like, live
Wasn't
fancy.
it about the city of New Braunfels?
Yeah.
Lift, tone, burn.
Something.
Lift, tone, burn.
I can't do that. I can't. Whenever you bring that up, it makes me think of Deshaun saying Bill Culhane.
That was me too.
Oh,
Bill
I can't-
Culhane.
you gotta do it.
Now
one
it's
time.
gonna be now for the voice of the Bobcats, Clint Shields.
Cool. Hey, man.
I think Deshaun should just do it.
Yeah, they
Just
should.
have-
It should
Honestly.
be him. That's what they
Is it
should.
just like the Texas State radio network? Is that the people who hire like the voiceover?
No, that's Learfield IMG
Oh,
College.
Hey, Learfield, if you're listening to this podcast,
Probably
check
not.
your JTMs right now. Deshaun Harley is available.
I'm here. Anytime you need me to do a voiceover, I'm here.
Oh, we need to get the guy from San Marcos High School.
Oh yeah, him.
Oh, yeah, the guy who announces the
Great
name.
job. That's a great job.
He's good.
He is.
Okay, I'll just do Bill Culhane.
Okay.
Just-
There you go.
even though he's retired.
Even though he's retired,
True.
I'll announce him.
Can you imagine if the guy who announced for San Marcos High School did an intro for us for Bobcat Radio,
Oh my
hyping every
gosh.
one of us up?
Bro, he did it crazy. 'Cause He
Ideas.
would be like, Caden Gums. And he sounded like
He
a
was
straight
so
up,
good.
like he sounded like I was at an NBA game. I was like, bruh.
Right?
Yeah, it'd be
I
a
got
dude like,
chills every time.
I want to
Chills.
see that, but that's another thing that Pinchback brought. Like, I think because
That
of
energy.
the energy that he brings, people want to have the energy. So that guy, he fed off a Pinchback too, because that right there is amazing. He sounded real professional.
No, I
Yo.
even remember the last basketball game of the season. I remember Deshaun, you were there, and Riley was there too. We were sitting there. We were so excited the whole entire
We
game
just wanted to
because
hear.
Pinchback was getting so. We just wanted Canes, but Pinchback was getting so
I'm weak.
hyped. It was so fun.
That was,
You just wanted to play.
mm-hmm.
Big facts.
So fun.
Big trust.
Big trust.
Big trust. What it do?
Yo, I actually saw some. This is totally off topic, but I saw the NBA. They had an announcement. It was like May 8th actually might be the opening date. That's like the time that they're like aiming for an opening. I don't know, Deshaun shaking his head. Was like the opening date for states that have like changed their laws. So maybe the Spurs, the Rockets, and the Mavericks may be in practice by May 8th. I don't know. But the thing is, I feel like, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see what like private companies, like their views, like especially the NBA, with how like proactive they've been with the COVID-19 thing. It'll be interesting to see if even if they're like, yeah, you can go to your practice facility with social distancing. It'll be interesting to see like if even those teams do it. Because honestly, like I could see like the Spurs just like with Greg Popovich's like record of like political comments being like, yeah, we're not opening the practice facility.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think they're going back because like I work at a gym and like you're
Yeah.
sweating around everyone. It doesn't matter how far apart you are. Like you're still like you're sweating and you're just like breathing heavily. Like I don't think they will.
It was, well, that was like the NBA saying they were aiming for like to allow them to be open, but yeah, the private, like the companies themselves, because they are private entities, although they are like under the jurisdiction of the NBA, the Mavericks, the Rockets, and the Spurs could be like, no, we're not going to open anyway.
And
Yeah,
I,
we
Yeah, I
got
don't
the
think
last
so.
the Last Dance documentary that's out. I've missed basketball so much, and that's just
Yeah.
made my life so much happy, so much easier. having
but
that.
I think with them
The
open,
draft made me happy.
yeah,
Draft was really good.
Not really, actually.
Especially
Nah.
the Eagles picks. Oh,
It
Hey,
kind of made me really depressed.
you stole CeeDee Lamb for us, so we took Jalen Hurts.
Nah,
deserve it
nah,
every
nah.
day. That's all I'm
Nah,
saying.
nah,
No,
nah.
we took Jalen Hurts just to say.
Nah, I also took Jalen Reagor.
Well, we
Oh,
took
yeah.
both Jalen.
We got two. We got three Jalen.
To troll with the Cowboys for sure.
I'm just
did.
glad y'all
We're
didn't
just
get Justin
trying-
Jefferson.
Yeah.
Okay, that was just dumb on our part.
That was
Didn't
rough.
fit the offense
Jalen-
apparently.
Instead of
Jalen
getting-
Reagor would have still been available by the second round, so we could have gotten both. But you know,
Possibly.
You're gonna lose the division because y'all want to play around in the draft. Because y'all.
Hey, the Cowboys will find a way to
Hey.
mess it up.
yeah, exactly.
Even with Amari Cooper, Gallup, who drops almost everything. I don't know. Gallup's so good. He just keeps dropping stuff. I don't understand.
Hey, we don't have Aguilar anymore, so
He drops so
we'll
many.
be
Josh
good.
is
We'll be
literally
good.
asleep.
I'm sleep.
Yeah, I'm sleep on.
You haven't
You're
even
just
signed
jealous.
Dak Prescott back.
Bro, y'all won't let
Yeah, y'all
Deshaun talk, I
haven't.
swear.
Yeah. What you got?
I'm saying I'm sleep on the Eagles. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
And I sleep on the Cowboys too. I'm not even gonna lie. Watch out for the. Nah, let me. Stop.
Yo, as a Saints fan,
The
Let's talk about your
Broncos.
Denver Broncos. Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
at least y'all aren't in the same division as the Bucks, though.
That's
Yeah,
very.
that's
true.
true. Your Saints are gonna have a tough.
I was like, we're gonna be fine. We got
Still the
one of the
Saints
most
division.
one of the most complete teams in the league, and then Tom
Oh
Brady.
my
Oh,
goodness,
get away.
The Chiefs.
He just showed me up with that.
Cowboys
What?
here. Will y'all stop?
I'm just here to support. Yeah.
Bro, what is this
Super Bowl
podcast turned into?
champions.
Yo, for the people that are on
Eagles
audio
fly.
only, they're gonna have no idea what's going on.
What
But
What
but
happened
Josh
is
just
rubbing in
yeah.
the fact he's a Cowboys fan by having the Cowboys.
Who
logo
hasn't won a
that's lightened
Super
up.
Bowl since 1998, right?
Since
Am I
2020.
wrong?
Since 2020, I'm weak.
You wish.
Yeah.
You wish. At least the Eagles
Actually,
have won.
2021.
I mean, the Cowboys haven't won since any of us were alive. So
Dang.
But the only reason why the Eagles won the Super Bowl is because they have the top 5 quarterback of all time, and Nick Foles.
Oh my goodness.
that's why. That's why
God,
I
no one's
named
ever gonna
my
listen to
dog.
you again.
I named my dog after Nick Foles. He's just the best.
What?
I would
What's his
stop.
name? Nick Foles?
Charlie.
No, his name's Charlie Foles.
Right now. We see where he is. He's
That's
a good
coming
name.
for a job.
Hey, he's going to the Bears.
Yeah.
The Bears.
Oh,
Risky.
Taysom Hill resigned today.
I saw that.
From Steven Pinchback to Taysom Hill.
From Stephen Pinchback to Taysom Hill. Oh boy.
Remember?
Amanda doesn't even know that the
Why you gotta
Saints
call me out?
the Saints got a quarterback that
You
is.
want to come here tomorrow?
Do you know who?
Oh.
Do you know who Tommy Stevens is, Amanda?
Nah, you can't just go past that, Jude.
He doesn't even know who Lil Wayne is.
Bruh, she doesn't even know who Tommy Stevens is. Exactly. No response.
Oh, look.
Silence because you don't know who he is, even though he's a part of
You're
the
not
team.
coming over tomorrow.
Oh,
official.
That's a lie.
The fact that when I said Amanda didn't know who Lil Wayne was, my brother locked eyes with me across the room. He went,
I know who Lil Wayne is.
"You didn't know the picture though when you saw it."
Yeah, you don't know what he looks
No,
like.
but
so
I
you
know
don't
who
really know
Lil Wayne is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I'm not that uncultured.
You didn't watch Star Wars.
yeah.
I never watched Star Wars. I'm not gonna lie.
I just don't
Maybe
have.
he's
I
going
just
to Star
don't
Wars, maybe.
Okay.
want to spend that
You know
time.
what Lil Wayne looks like.
Yeah, that's crazy. But the Star Wars thing, Star Wars is like, it's been going on.
I just don't want. I don't have the time or the energy to watch.
Nah,
I just don't
you got the
care.
time and the energy to watch 2 seasons of Ozark in 2 days.
Relax. Ozark is
Jesus.
no.
But I
This
don't have the time
podcast
and
went
energy to
from
watch Star- I'm not even
San Marcos
asking for the
High
last
School
3.
to
They don't count. I'm
golf
talking the
course.
first 6. Anyways.
If you have
Dude is just like
money,
wanting to
it's
piss
better
me
than
off,
that.
but it's okay.
I think we're all reaching our breaking point at 2:15 in the morning.
That's true.
When after that meeting adjourned,
Meeting-
I can't believe it.
Bruh.
that's when I
They
lost
really
it.
skipped it too. I don't know, man. They had some crazy stuff like over some district scandal going on, and that was on
Yeah.
the executive session like thing that they were in, which was private, away from everybody. So I don't think they got through all of the procedures, the A, B, C, D. They maybe got through A and B, or not even through the first one. I mean, there was a lot of talk and even tension at sometimes before that, and they were like, "We'll discuss this more in the executive session." So obviously, a lot got discussed, but none of it was the men's basketball coach.
7 hours.
So, I mean, and it said like right after it was supposed to be done, it said like on the meeting schedule, because you could go look at it, it was like, all right, we're going to go over, we're going to go straight after that's done. We're going to talk about the decision to hire a new boys basketball coach. And they were like, nah, we're going to vote on some stuff and we're going to go to bed because we didn't get it all done. They didn't say
We got
that. but
so
that-
excited.
Yeah, we were ready, bro. I was
They
like, all right,
came back.
here we go.
I thought they were gonna do a vote on which coach it was. I thought they were
Yeah.
gonna. I was gonna be like,
Me
that.
too.
Like, all right. What if it came down to like the last person? Just,
The worst part is we had tweets ready. Everyone was ready.
Bruh.
Oh yeah, we
I-
got breaking news.
Yeah, we were ready, bro. Like, however, and you could tell they were the real ones. Only the real ones were covering it, bro. Only the real ones. It was just whatever that guy from the Dallas Morning News was tweeting about it. Drew King from the San Marcos Record or Daily Record. I don't know. It's so confusing on the website sometimes. It's also almost 2:20 in the morning. But then of course KTSW Sports. We didn't tweet anything, but we were ready.
Waiting.
We were ready.
waiting.
So only the real ones only. Stephen J. Pinchback.
Big facts.
it was funny in the group for pinchback.
For Pinch-
For pinch.
I realized if this was a podcast, we'd call ourselves the Fab Five.
Oh God.
We're not from
Whoa.
Michigan, bro.
Elite.
We're not from San Marcos.
But we're
Yeah,
elite.
the Fab Four.
Yeah. Close enough.
Close
Over.
enough. Yo, Isaiah De Leon, maybe
can't
quarterback next year.
That should
Mhm.
be interesting.
But he does have some good tape. So that would also be another thing. Like with the players, that should be attractive to a head coach coming in, with some talent there that he can work with, some young talent specifically.
Although he does lose to Kai Magic, it would have been cool to see them play together. At least
Yeah.
in the
It would have. because the freshman team went 8-1. They went the opposite record of, or I think 9-1. My bad.
9-1.
Yeah, they went the exact opposite record of the football team, the varsity team. They lost to Canyon too, is the weird thing.
What?
So maybe their freshman team's just loaded. I don't know.
Maybe.
But they still were district champs, so that's
Don't know
really all that
offers.
matters.
Don't know offers for Takai for Texas State.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to Houston. I hope he walks
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Wow.
They announced he's going to Houston, so I hope he walks on because
I hope so.
he
a
needs
baller.
like he's a Power 5 or not Power 5, but he's a D1 player. Like to do what he did against teams like Judson and Steele, like because he burned Jalen Johnson one time, and that guy is on a full ride to A&M, and he's the Steele cornerback. So I mean, if you're burning SEC guys, I think you're a D1 player.
Big facts.
Path is different though. Like you could start off, he could walk on. Not only that, but maybe a year in, he decides I want to go play football, and he decides I'm gonna email some coaches for D3 or whatever you got to do and try to find something. But he has a lot of talent for not playing anywhere at this particular moment.
He did get some offers, but it was like Southwestern. You know what I mean? So some D3 schools, and I mean, it's obviously you want to take what you can because you can get an offer. I mean,
Something's better than nothing.
We saw the Patriots draft a D2, D3 player with their first pick in the draft. So anything's possible with some, if you play your heart out. But at the same time, I still can't believe that Texas State did not offer him.
Yeah, maybe the record, maybe winning goes into it. I mean, I don't know how coaches recruit for football.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. I could for basketball, I could tell you what they look for, but for football, I can't because the position you have to do so much at your specific position that one receiver could be better than the other. And for me, I'm not even gonna try to be able to say, oh, this receiver is better than this one because he does this, this, and this. So, especially because we didn't get to see receivers in other areas or in other states.
That's true.
Anything, but getting an offer is an offer. So
I mean,
that's
the
true.
fact
he was going to do that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you guys, but
You're good.
No, but the fact that the Kai is taking a chance and going to U of H for his education, he's prioritizing his education first, which you got to appreciate because
a
lot of student athletes from high school think that they're going to go to D1. I mean, that's why you play. You want to get a D1 offer to college and play pro. That's what a lot of people dream of, but it's just statistically it's unlikely. But the fact he's taking a chance and going to U of H to get a good education and maybe have an opportunity to walk on, I think he's taking a chance on himself. I think he believes in himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome. A lot of people would not do that. You have a sure thing. Usually people are going to take it, but that shows how much confidence he has in himself, and I appreciate that. And I think that's going to bode him very well. Get some tape going, send it to some coaches. You never know what can happen.
It's the San Marcus Rattler way. It's like Coach Soto. I remember he mentioned one time how he's just building the entire San Marcus Rattler community is how they're building the boys to men and making sure that they're prepared for life with football and without football as well.
Mm-hmm.
They want to build good football players, but also good men. That was the main thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you walk into that facility, there's a big sign that says SM with the star on San Marcos in the middle of Texas. And underneath it, it says build character first in the indoor facility. So that's a big thing that Coach Soto implemented. And you got to, that's one of the things that he really, really built in San Marcos. And I think getting Coach Pinchback was a big part of that too, because we talked to him and he would say, you also want to build, good people. So that was something that they had in common, which is why when we've talked about all this today, it could be some tough losses because they were just such great coaches and great individuals with the right values and the right ideas in place for not only making better, young athletes, but making better, young people.
Facts. I feel like I became a better person after I met Pinchback. I'm just gonna say it. No.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm so much better.
Yeah, it's like a whole better person.
No, like every time, like I would say like thank you at the end of my interview, he'd say no, thank you. All
Like, Gabi, every single time I went,
Every time.
Yo,
No, thank you.
Oh no, thank you so much.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Or sorry. Here, I got one more thing to say. Sorry, Josh. But he
Oh,
said, I
yeah?
remember one time he said his daughter told him, and it was one of our pregame interviews. He said, you know what family stands for? FAMILY. Forget about me. I love you. Bruh, he told me that one time. I was like, what? Bruh. And so he was talking about how the team had to do some bonding after the season. It was late in the season and they had been on that big losing streak, and he was like, we had to kind of have some bonding time, and that's what I kind of told him. So I mean that family is also an acronym. I mean, that's just crazy. That's that, in the words of me and Deshaun, there's levels to this.
Oh my gosh.
the fact that like I would feel like Jude after LSU beat Alabama. That's the
Oh
feeling.
my gosh.
That was
Bruh. Oh my gosh.
that
Anyways,
broadcast.
did you have
was so
something
good.
to say, Josh? I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt you earlier.
the only thing I was gonna add is going back to the thank you thing, is that's exactly what I would tell Coach Pinchback if he in fact is leaving San Marcos. Just
Yeah.
the impact that he had in just short time, just 1 year, one season with the Rattlers, but he made the most of it. He made a believer in everybody in that community. So to Coach Pinchback, thank you so much for what you've done for the Rattlers, for KTSW, for the city of San Marcos. Just thank you so much.
Oh man.
On
totally
God,
agree.
bro. I'm blessed to have known him, bro.
Mic drop.
No,
Mamba out.
he made me
Oh,
love San
too
Marcos
soon.
Too
so
soon.
much more.
Mhm.
He just made me appreciate San Marcos because I'm from Round Rock, and so it's like a totally different like atmosphere. So like coming to San Marcos, I was like, I don't like, I'm going to school, whatever. But like just the community is just so much. It's awesome, and like you made me realize that. So
Yeah.
Shout
That's
out to
awesome.
Pinchback.
For real.
Out. Big shout out.
KTSW dad.
That on the shirt.
Oh my
He
gosh.
totally is
Nah,
though. He
but
would mess
he
around
is
with
though.
us all the
He is.
time.
Oh my gosh. I could tell some
he was
stories that are
so
not
many jokes.
not podcast
Oh
not
no.
podcast material, but
Let's not.
I
I know
said,
what you're
Anyways,
talking
what
about.
happened one time?
that's why I said not podcast material, but he was great with us. All right. So we can end this thing with a bang, but I think Connor, this is off topic, but I kind of want you to tell this story. So can you tell the story of like the volleyball broadcast of me and you with the LSU Alabama game?
Okay, yeah. So we're doing a volleyball broadcast. I don't remember who was against.
I think it was
but
like Troy or something. I don't
it was
know.
Texas State volleyball. It was a home game because we broadcast every single home game when we can. And so it was it was just last season when LSU was going on their magnificent run against Alabama, and there was a lot of tension. I didn't realize how much tension there was between the rivalry between LSU and Alabama. Like I remember Jude was telling me kind of what was said between Hurricane Katrina, what Alabama would do when LSU came, and it was pretty messed up. So before the broadcast started, like I'm going through my pregame notes, trying to make sure I have everything down.
Connor's in the zone.
I'm really getting in the zone for this. And Jude cannot contain himself because LSU's winning, and they won, and he's almost crying. He's holding my shoulder. He's like, dude, they won! They won! And I'm like, man, we got a broadcast in 10 minutes. So you're going to be able to do this? And he just couldn't get together. And by the time it started, he was fine. But he was shit. He couldn't get over it. And it got to a point where it was fine throughout the broadcast. Then one time I looked over because he had a take and he just screamed out, just like the way LSU beat down Alabama.
I remember that.
It was like
Oh my
they
god.
had just won a set or something, and it was like a big.
And I remember went to Jude. He said that.
It was
and
a big
I went,
spike by like Ali Smiley or something, or maybe Cheyenne Husky. I don't know.
was
And I
someone-
was like, they just spiked it down and won and broke Troy's hearts just like LSU did to Alabama today.
He had to squeeze that in.
I remember I looked over at you. I was like, you're listening to KTSW 99. More Texas State volleyball. It took a moment.
Bruh. Oh,
Talk about the Brad.
Dude's way too obsessed with LSU.
Nah, we should have talked about the Texas State bracket because I was highly upset.
Oh, all right. What? All right. We got room for one more. Tell me what's on your mind, Deshaun.
Okay.
Therapy hour.
No
Here we go.
disrespect. This is no disrespect to Nigel Pearson. We know how great this man
Yeah.
is. I understand. But he has zero conference championships, right? And I'm pretty sure he beat Randy Rupp in either the
Yo,
8.
I didn't realize that.
And you know, me and Connor are big softball guys. Like, we love the softball team. Like, the softball team is like my favorite team to cover. And Randy Rupp, bruh, she has a conference title. She's the most dominant pitcher in Texas State history, even though Nigel is probably the best player in Texas State basketball history, even though some Texas State players made it to the NBA, which we'll have to wait and see what Nigel does. But I was highly upset that he beat Randy Rupp, and I think a little bit of favoritism went into it. And Paul Goldschmidt almost beat Charles Austin, which it shouldn't have even been close, but people are voting off of emotion because you have an Olympian, you have a street named after this man.
An Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, it should not be 51% to 49%. That's a larger margin, but that's for another day. I'll go on my rant about that.
I think that's just like kind of newness,
Yeah.
Nigel. He's still
recency
with the
bias.
program. Yeah.
And it's no offense to him. It's just Randy Rupp won a conference title, and that means something. And I think Nigel's team this year probably would have had a good shot at it.
I think so too.
They were all
Yeah.
but unfortunately it didn't happen. So yeah, of course I'm gonna use that in the argument between two players when we're debating about the greatest athletes of Texas State history. I think Randy Rupp didn't get the credit that she deserved because she was a dominant pitcher at Texas.
And she's pro softball pitcher now.
Yeah, exactly. So
she had like the best earned run average ever. It was 0.11. It was ridiculous. No one.
That's a ridiculous.
She did so many great things, and yeah, I think with Nigel Pearson though, like he are the best Texas State basketball player in history. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I think it's a little bit recency bias. I mean, he smashed so many records this season, and it's kind of hard to say like, oh, because basketball usually is a little more popular than softball, even though like when you talk about Texas State sports, it just depends. And
softball has been better.
I know they have been. It's just a fact, but yeah, I don't know. People are going to vote the way they're going to vote. Doesn't mean they're always right.
Right.
That's true. So real quick, is Pearson an NBA prospect?
He's a G League prospect.
There's nothing wrong with that. I wish I could be a G League.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I would say he's a G League prospect.
There's a top prospect in
fringe
who recently just got like $500,000 to play in the G League instead of going to college.
Oh, you're talking about I forget his name, but I know who you're talking about. Jalen Green, maybe? I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah. There's a whole you could have a whole segment on NCAA
dog
how people are going over but G League's an opportunity. I mean, with Nigel Pearson, the one thing he does do well is he's a bit of a two-way player. He can play defense and he can score. I think the one concern I had about Nigel Pearson was his jump shot a little bit. I just think it needs to be a little bit quicker for his size, but I think he has some of the abilities from Coach Casper to be a reliable defensive player. I think he has that ability. I think what was his NBA comparison to Courtney Lee, who's been a pretty solid player his whole NBA career. So we'll have to see. It's a difficult journey because
I think Courtney Lee is a bit better shooter than Nigel, just like in his stroke and just like in percentage. But honestly, that's one of the more like reasonable comparisons that I've seen for Nigel to an NBA player.
Yeah, I thought Michael Jordan was.
Yeah, Michael Jordan.
Like, oh God.
Anybody in the same conversation.
Bruh. Oh my gosh.
Said it.
Well, with that being said, I think this is the end of today's episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it this late at night. It's 2:32. I don't know exactly how long this is going to be, but that being said, Amanda, Deshaun, Josh, Connor, thank you guys so much for coming on. And this will be posted soon. So appreciate y'all so much. And we're going to end this thing right